Welcome to Kathryn Raaker's World. Innovation, culture, adventure, fashion and health, artists, destinations, traditions. This is Kathryn Raaker's World.
Hi, this is Kathryn Raaker of Kathryn Raaker's World. Let's just talk, and the chef, you and I. I am so excited that I have one of the best chefs around who is originally from Mexico, or the family is?
The family is.
Family is. His name is Raul Luis, and he's the owner and operator of Birria Chalio's. Chalio's?
Yes.
An authentic Birria restaurant. His family founded it, one of the first in the United States, now with locations in both California and Texas. Raul is a family fan with a passion to educate the public about the culture and traditional significance Birria brings. Raul is part of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 small businesses in Long Beach, California, which supports the growth and job creation of small businesses. Now he's going to tell us what Birria is and how it started and what it really is. Welcome to our show, Raul. I'm so excited.
Thank you for having me.
¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo está?
I am very well. Muy bien, gracias.
Oh, gracias. After living in Spain for 3 years, I've learned a little Spanish, their way, Castilian. I'm going to go back and learn Spanish again because I love the language. How about that?
Sounds good. Sounds great.
Good, right?
You got your work cut out for you, yes. You got to speak faster, though.
Yeah, speak faster. Oh, good. So tell me a little bit about you and your dad. So let's talk about you first, then your father, and the history of your wonderful restaurants. So how did you get involved?
I was in the family business. My father was selling food out of the home, and it was all hands on deck. I was, I think, 12 years old at the time, and there was an opportunity. I went to visit my mom, who was a seamstress, and I would take her food because when they would take a break, there was about 300 employees, and they didn't have enough time for lunch or 30-minute lunch breaks. So when I took her food, her friend said, "Oh, where did you get food from?" She says, "Oh, my husband makes it." So at the age of 12, I began taking food to this factory. I would take 200-300 tacos or birria dishes, and I would sell it there. That was my first introduction into the food business. So that's how I got into it. Fast forward that I went to the USC, University of Southern California, an entrepreneur program. I graduated one day. I came back home and I was at work, and I said, "What am I going to do?" I had $7,000. I said, "I'm going to open my own restaurant." I opened my own restaurant. My sales, first week of sales, $80 I sold.
Wow.
$80. My friends came to visit me from school. They were all dressed up in their suits because when you're in the business school, you had to dress up, give presentations. They came to I was inside and I was cooking. I was washing dishes, and they came and says, "Raw, did you go to school for this? Is that why you went to school, to be a cook?" I sat there, I scratched my head, and I said, "Wow, so we can get you a job." They said, it was one of those crossroads. You get to that crossroad, and I asked myself, "Wow, I did. Did I go to school for this, or what am I doing?" I started thinking to myself. Luckily, I stuck with it, and I said, "No, I'm going to stick with it," and I did, and that was how I continued to go on in the restaurant business. But there's always been little crossroads where you have to make decisions, and luckily, I hope I made the right decision at the time. That was when I first graduated. I was 20 something at the time.
And so your dad brought it to Los Angeles, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So his family, I tell people, his family was given a certain skill set. That skill set was to be able to make birria. Some families are given the skill set of iron workers, the smiths, they iron workers. He was given how to make birria, which is actually one of maybe two professions in Mexico that was acceptable as a cook, as a male cook, was birreros and taqueros. The only two occupations that men were able or acceptable. Otherwise, the women did the cooking. So he was a birrero from past generations, and they would make the birria underground using wood flames, so you get that wood flavor, slow roasted. It would be wrapped up in a maguey plant to keep the flavors in, and then all the droppings from the meat would drop, and you would use that broth to make a sauce. So that's how they make the birria. He brought it to the U.S., sold food out of our house. Um, in Mexico, it's very common for people to serve food out of their houses. They're called cenuderias. So you walk into somebody's house and you're welcome. And I think that's where they coined the phrase "mi casa es tu casa."
Oh, wow. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, so you'd walk into somebody's house and you would see the grandma cooking the food. The mom would be making the tortillas, and the daughter would be serving you. So they come to you, and it was a family setting. So
Mhm.
you walk in, you're in their house. You're literally they're by your house, and you would eat, and they would make pozole or tostadas or tac, different things. So when we came to my dad came to the U.S., that's what he actually began out of his house. It was a sanuderia, but only on weekends. And then the venture, what got popular, people were very excited to be able to have birria, because birria, for those of you who don't know, it's traditionally is made from goat and lamb, and it was a dish that was only served on special once in a lifetime events, baptisms, quinceañeras, weddings. And I tell people this was the meal set for royalty, for kings and queens, because when a person was born, the child was baptized, introduced to the kingdom of God, and then as it became of age, she became a princess during her quinceañera, and then when they got married, she was a queen. So that meal was, for royalty. That's a meal for royalty, and it's a meal that actually is able to rekindle old memories, because since it was only served during those special once in a lifetime events, people recall that meal as being very special. So now, if you go ask anybody, I mean, not anybody, but most people, you ask them, "Oh, what are you serving for your party?" It was very common. Birria. That was the only meal of choice for that region in Mexico. And it's usually in the region that was given credit was the state of Jalisco, and even more specifically, Guadalajara. So our small town, we're actually in a town that's a little bit south of there. It's called Nochistlan, Zacatecas. Nochistlan, Zacatecas. And that town was a little history for those who like history, was actually the first Guadalajara. That town was proclaimed in 1553 to be the first Guadalajara. However, based on the future, with predicted growth, there wasn't going to be enough water to serve the community. So they moved it to where it's currently at now. So Nochistlan, those who don't know it, Nochistlan, Zacatecas was actually the first Guadalajara, which was one of the biggest cities in the state of Jalisco.
Mhm. And it's eaten during the day usually, correct?
Usually in the morning, it's a dish.
It's a
Uh,
morning dish?
it's a morning dish. It's very heavy. So
Yeah.
when you eat it, you're gonna get you a little sluggish, because it's all the protein, the goat and the lamb. So traditionally eaten in
Serve
plates.
it, excuse me, do you serve it today with goat and lamb or with beef and what
Well,
today?
now we because of the trends now, we do both. We do the
Okay.
lamb, and then we do the goat and the beef as well. So we use all different variations depending on what the customer wants. The
Mhm.
younger generations usually want the beef. The older generations want the lamb and the goat. So we're trying to get them to reintroduce them into the richest cultural historical value that the dish has. There's a history to it, and we're hoping to be able to rekindle that for most of our customers, new customers, and those who other ethnicities that haven't tried it before.
So let me ask this question. How big is your restaurant? Do you serve 150, 20, 30, what? And then you have takeout. Can you order online as well?
Yeah, so we're in the process of connecting with Gold Ballot to be able to ship this anywhere in the United States, where you can get it next day. So people who are in other states who have never had it can try it. Uh, in LA, the restaurants are seat about 120 people. The one
Wow.
in the one in Texas is a little bigger, seats about 300 people. So just to give you an idea, at one time, and this was back in the 1990s, we used to buy up to 10,000 pounds 10,000 pounds a week.
Wow.
That's how popular it was, and now it's diminished a bit, but it's still, we still do well. We're down to about maybe about, one of our alley stores, I think they do about 3,000 pounds of the goat and lamb. um, a lot of the people are now transitioning over to the beef because of the birria tacos, which happen to be beef. So people think that birria is beef. No, no, birria is not beef. Birria, that's great. That it tastes good. It tastes great. Most people beef is more acceptable protein, but the traditional is the goat and lamb. Has a
Well,
different.
actually, in Spain, you get goat and lamb as well as, other pork and whatever. And I mean, I've eaten stuff like I've never eaten all over the world. So how do you get people, after there's a lot of Mexican restaurants, right, here in Cincinnati. But coming into your restaurant, you're getting the culture and the tradition and something that is absolutely from Mexico. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yeah, this is. So when you walk into my restaurant, if you come into my restaurant in Texas, as soon as you walk in, there's a big sign that says "Bienvenido a la casa de Chalio." It means welcome to Chalio's house. Trying to rekindle those, back in the small towns where you would walk into someone's house and they would sell you food. As soon as you walk in and you're going to be seated, there's a lady making tortillas, handmade tortillas.
Mm-hmm.
So that, that along with the dish you're going to get. So that's the setting when you walk in. We want to take you back, to recreate those special or rekindle those memories that are probably long lost, and bring those back. So when you order the birria, it's like, wow, it's we can serve at times up to maybe 200-300 people that'll order the birria. So if you walk into, I tell people, you walk into our LA stores, 9 out of 10 dishes are birria. In
Oh,
Texas, it's like half and half, 50-50.
right.
And for a while it was like, why am I selling more birria in our alley stores than opposed? Because they're from different regions of Mexico. They
Oh.
migrate to different parts of the United States. And
Texas, tell me about Texas. Let me ask where you are located in Dallas.
I'm actually in Fort Worth, which is about a 30-minute
Fort
drive.
Worth, of course. Why
Fort
not?
Worth, about 30-minute drive from Dallas. We're off of there's 35 and Seminary Drive,
35
and
and Seminary Drive.
right, we're right across the
Tell all
street.
my friends in Texas about you if they don't know.
Yeah, there's a mall. They call it the Mexican Mall, and it's called the Gran Plaza. Very popular out here. People come out here
Grand Plaza.
right across the street. You can't miss this. We're the only restaurant on that street. So
Oh, I am so excited that you were there. I can't even tell you because it's I love Fort Worth and I've been to Los Angeles. My one son lives in San Francisco but my daughter used to live in LA, and so none of my children live near me,
oh
right?
wow,
But I always serve Mexican food when they come.
good.
So but it and I love salsa. I mean, I gotta tell you, and I watched one of your videos, and one of the things that you said on the video was originally this was made this way, but they spilled it and then they put salsa in it. Am I right?
That's so it was a mistake actually. So the Jalisco style of serving birria, this is our story, is it was made, it's put it wrapped around these maguey plants, and they wrap it up, they put it under with the wood fire and roast it, slowly cooked for a 10-hour process. And what they would do is they would take it and they would serve it to you, put it, and then you make your taco, put your toppings on there. On this one occasion, when they picked up the plants and they're walking over to the table, it tilted, and all the juices from the meat that it dropped, it fell into the bowl. What do we do? What do we do now? We got a party. We got to serve these people. Well, let's mix it up. Since they're gonna put it on a taco anyways, I was told the story. Let's put it on the plate, and that's what they did. And that's our style, which is actually the Jalisco style. I don't know if we influenced it. I would love to believe that we had an influence over how it's served now, because it's in a flat dish and just like a stew as opposed to a bowl. So I say, wow, maybe we had a
You're
part to do
making
with
me
that.
hungry, you know that.
It's really good. It's really good. If those of you who've never tried the lamb or the goat, it's very, very, very good. It has different taste profiles as to beef. just for example, on a lamb, there's a French rack. Most people love the French rack. So when in birria, we also have the rack, but the rack when you're gonna eat it, your hands are gonna get dirty. That's for sure. So don't you're gonna get it, and then now you gotta nibble at all the little small pieces that are hidden in the crevices with the consomme, which gives it the different flavor. Oh man, that's one of the. It's got to be one of the. You got to try it as opposed to
Well,
the.
I definitely will because I don't know how we get around it. So you'll just have to make me a little dish or something without the garlic.
That's without garlic, right? I was just thinking about how I can. You said onion. Onion, and maybe ginger might give it that garlicky flavor. So
Yes, it
we'll figure
does.
it out.
It
It
does.
does. Okay.
It really does. I mean, when I make things for people and they don't know that I didn't put garlic in it, they think there's garlic in it. How about that?
Yeah. So I was thinking about that. So, maybe the ginger and some onion give it a little. So
You want me to tell you the story of how garlic came to be?
okay.
Well, back in Italy, on the byroads, in the sandy soil where you see wild onions grow, garlic grew. So the rich Italians would never use garlic because the peasants had the garlic. And seriously, I called some of my Italian friends that are very old, and they said, we would never use garlic in our sauce or our gravy. Never, never, never. And it shocked me. And I
Wow.
used to love garlic. And then it came about that I couldn't digest it anymore.
Maybe you're royalty from back then.
Yes, right. That's exactly it. It came to be that they were on the spice, run
Right. Yeah.
from Asia. So they could get any spices that they wanted. Right.
Got it.
So that's the story of it. But now we have garlic festivals, we have everything, right?
That's funny. I'm gonna tell you that there's a segue for birria as well. So birria, if you go to Jalisco, there are several variations. You might ask yourself, why doesn't it taste the same? Well, back in the days, there was these trails called Caminos Reales. People would come into Guadalajara, which is a big city, and they would bring their stock, their animals or vegetables, and they would bring them into the city, and then they would sell them off, trade them, and they'd go back to their small towns. Well, if you were in Jalisco, Guadalajara, you had access to all the spices. But when you went to your small town and you learned how to make a certain dish, for example, birria, you went back to your small town, you were limited. So you had to change your recipe, you had to tweak it to adopt. And that's why there's several variations. People ask, it doesn't taste the same. No, because everybody adapted to whatever spices were local in their region. They didn't
Right.
have access to the garlic. And I know about the ginger because my dad told me one time, you can use ginger and onion to give it. But I never occurred until you asked me now that you couldn't eat garlic. I said, oh, wow.
Tell your dad, tell your father, because
Yeah.
he's probably around
No,
my age.
yeah, no, he's gone. He left us, but he
I'm
left
so
us, the
sorry.
impression of thank you, the impression of how to make the dish, what it meant to him. When he explained to me, I didn't understand what he was telling me. And I said, my dad, he's old school. He doesn't get. I didn't get it. It was me that was. I just didn't absorb it until after. I said, oh, that's what he meant. Now I understand what he meant. What he was trying to teach me of what the dish actually meant to him and to people from Mexico and some of the young.
Let me ask you one more question before I have
Okay,
to leave you.
that's okay.
I want you to come back.
Okay,
And
absolutely.
yeah, I
And
do.
November too. I'll see you November. You said
November
right?
20, no, I'm going to ask you a couple questions after I get off the air here. Okay.
Okay.
But what do you envision the future of Chalio's and Birria to be like?
I see it where you get different generations and different ethnic groups coming to try the dish to help rekindle, make those connections that their parents, grandparents had, and hopefully and create new memories. That's the main thing, and hopefully we're able to introduce it to other groups and other states as well. So hopefully there's be some growth plans for us. We can be able to be in different regions of the United States so we can give people the taste of what lamb and goat is because it's actually a really good meat or protein to consume. Probably one of the most popular in the United States and in other countries.
Do you have a website?
Yes, I do.
Could you give it to me?
Yes, it's birrieriachalio.com.
But thank you so much.
Thank
You
you for
are
having me.
so good with your videos. You really explain the history. And I think that's what I loved about Mexican food and international food and Spanish food. I learned so much, but actually making it sometimes be a challenge. Would you
Oh,
say that?
absolutely. Absolutely. Any food, cooking any food. You ever tried making mole before? Mole is tough. That's the
Uh,
hard one.
I've had it. I know what it is. I'm not crazy about it, but I'll eat it.
Right. Same
So
here. I'll eat it. Yeah.
yeah. So anyhow, but yeah, because when I was overseas, I went to all kinds of different countries, and I got to eat a lot of different things that I didn't know what it was. So it makes it fun, huh? I
Yeah,
want to
absolutely.
thank you for joining me today, Raul, and I can't wait to meet you in person and do a cooking show with you.
Likewise.
Really awesome.
Absolutely. I
And
look forward to it.
so the next time you're in Cincinnati, you gotta
There you
get
go.
together.
I gotta go to the
Yeah,
west side. There you go.
yeah, West Side, right. Thank you so much for joining me. And that website again is,
Birrieriachalio.com.
all right.
Or you,
And
or you
yeah,
can visit our YouTube channel at Birria
yes,
World as
you
well.
do have that. And I have the link
Yes.
for that, and I'll put that on this show, okay?
Thank you.
So, and I subscribe to your video channel. You can
Thank you so much.
subscribe to mine as well.
I will. Thank you.
So thank you for joining me today on Kathryn Raaker's World and the Chef You and I, and Let's Just Talk. And we'll see you soon.